Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel. If you're new to me, we're talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. I've got a bit of a unique approach, right? Multi-dimensional means taking into consideration our spiritual aspects, our energetic and emotional aspects, as well as our mental ones, to really just like come back into our sovereign selves, into our truth, into our power, and create our most fulfilling lives, right? So I combine a number of, I blend modalities, I'm a psychic channel, and I really help people then develop the emotional intelligence skills and like self-awareness and personal power to create their best lives, right? And I have been through so much of these cycles in my life, right? So, how to deal with when the narcissist moves on to the new supply? For everyone that's been with me for a minute, you know, since I started this channel, please like keep commenting and keep sharing your stories, because I feel like, so much shame lives in the shadows of this, right? And for people who have not been in these cycles, they don't understand trauma bonds, they don't understand how would you be with someone like that, and then how would you be so absolutely destroyed when you lose them. It's impossible to understand, because this is a very unique situation, narcissism. I've got a lot of videos on here on like what's going on spiritually, like what they really are, why it's such an enmeshment. It's even stronger than an addiction. But, gosh. So when the narcissist moves on to the new supply, the first thing I've got to tell you, which is hard to believe, it's very unlikely this is a new supply. They're always lining up supply. So it might be someone brand new, but I mean, the amount of scheming, planning, strategizing, and hedging their hedging their bets, not betches, hedging their biatches, these narcissists. No, I don't mean to say that. Well, do I? Probably, yeah. But, you know, they're always plotting, scheming, strategizing. For people here, when we're authentic, it's impossible to imagine that. You know, that they can sit with one person, have actually what we feel is a meaningful interaction, because they're great intuitives in the psychic realm. They know exactly what to say to get to your heartstrings. They literally are analysing you all the time, and they're using their they're plugged into it. I've talked about what it is, but they are plugged into a consciousness that's literally scanning you and getting feedback on you all the time. That's why they do the narcissistic stare. So they're going to mirror what you need. The love bomb is all about, they know how to intuitively mirror your ideal soulmate back to you and project that on you, that's them. But they can't keep it up. They can't keep up that illusion. Yeah? So if it's a narcissist, they're not loyal, they're not committed, and they know that a lot of relationships will not be sustainable for them, yeah? And they've always got this web. It's so sticky with them, so they can quickly jump off. They know you're going to wake up at certain points. They know that, you know, they're going to need to get more supply, and if you're being difficult, they're just going to discard you so they can, you know what I mean, until you get so traumatized you're going to want them back. So just know that part of it. The second part is the confusion, because now the trauma bond is going to really kick in, and after time you might start begging for this person back. There's a couple of things that's going to go on. One is you're going to ruminate. Two, you're going to obsess about the illusion, the love bomb, the projection. And they're doing this in the psychic field. I've got videos on here about how to break the trauma bond, how to break the psychic ties. But you're going to want that person back, not the person they are, not the majority of how they've treated you, not even be able to acknowledge how horrific this is, that they will just literally move on to someone else, often immediately, and often very fast, like very serious. We're getting something very serious, very fast. That person's been lined up for a while, yeah? there's so much emotions, but you're going to want to beg them back. You're going to be the trauma bond's going to kick in really fast, really hard often, right? So there's some tools on the channel. If you can come into my program Sovereign, you can still get in for May. I am going to have to close the doors on that at some point because it is self-paced, but it's very supported by me in the group. And so there's a point, you do it at your own pace, but there's a certain point where it will be too late for you to come into this round, for me to feel comfortable with not catching you up, but you know what I mean, so giving you the support I want to give you. So the trauma bond's going to be intense. You're going to probably want to beg them back. You might want to retaliate. There's so many emotions that go on in this. One is you might want to retaliate and take some revenge. That's going to be high, right? Because rage, absolute rage. There's so many emotions. Another is you're going to want to perhaps tell the new supply, give a warning. Now, you've got to use your intuition on that, but your intuition isn't your fear or retaliation. You've got to see where you're coming from, a true place of, one, it's not your responsibility, but this is only something you can decide. You've got to do it with no agenda, no needing to get into a conversation, a chat, and a relationship with that person, because it's really not for you to do. But if you need to give a warning, you can, if it's in your intuition, if it's coming from a true place of, oh my gosh, it would be bad for me not to say, I would feel bad if I don't say something, but you've got to leave it there most of the time, right? And you're not saying something to get them back. The tools on the channel help you deal with the trauma bond and the emotional crash and it's just a horrible situation. With my ex, I think I left him 3 or 4 times. The first time I left him, right, obviously when I met him he was divorced, right? I was staying with him quite early on. I'd just come out of a business partnership with a narcissist, so I'd already been ruined. I was rebuilding my life. And it turned out he wasn't divorced. So I leave, I pack up, and how I found this out was he went on a vacation, which I knew, which he gave me the story of, well, we've got kids together, the kids want to go on vacation. It's nothing to do with me and my wife, it's just that I bought it. I don't know, you eat bullshit for breakfast when you're with a narcissist. I was in the love bomb stage. I was already just trying to heal my trauma from the last time I'd just been annihilated. I was sold on the lie. And I thought I was in love, but I was being very manipulated, highly manipulated. I'm talking about demons. I've dealt with some really high-ranking demons in the spiritual realm. This one was another really strong demon. I think he got his energy off of women, like literally sexual. He used sexual energy in a really interesting way, and he was draining mine, and I was obviously, they have like prime supplies as well, and I'm a very juicy energy because I've got a very strong, energetic, very divine energy that I channel, right? So he's a sexual magician, not because he's good in bed, because he knows how to literally shapeshift. Like he'd look different. I'd seen him outside when I was completely detached, like when I saw him before, his face was different, but when I was with him, his face would look different. He was a master magician in the spiritual realm. There are spiritual aspects to this, trust me. So he'd sent me a picture of him with his arm around his wife, and it was just so distasteful. But why would he do that? To trauma bomb me. Because that was going to cause so much confusion, so much shock. I could not believe it, right? And he was doing it as if it was normal. The only reason is because they want to consistently trauma bond you. That trauma bond will make you beg for them back, be so confused, want answers, you know what I mean? Rather than just know this is a narcissist, bad news. And he knew it would be difficult for me because I was getting myself back on my feet, getting myself together. It's before I'd got my next new place, which was only going to, it was just a disaster, because once you've made a move to do something with them, like live with them, right, you're in a trap. So he is acting like this is normal. I just leave, get out, which wasn't very sensible for me at the time. It was so disruptive. There was nowhere for me to go and nowhere for me to go easily. So I was like, just finding places, and I leave for this month, but I'm so trauma bonded. And I wanted to go home because that was my home at the time where we were living. So I come back. When I come back, I mean, no accountability, no responsibility. The shame I could have in this story is it could go on and on, and I could tell you so much, but I'm not going to just pour it all out, not, just because it's not, I'm only going to use what's useful to you. But I want you to know, if you ever feel like an idiot, I was several times over. And I've got a law degree, and I know a lot about psychology, and I'm a healer, and I've studied modalities and emotional intelligence and personal development for years. So please don't feel like an idiot. These are very strong dark forces you're dealing with. I want to say that and be clear. This is not about stupid people and weak people. I'm a really strong woman. I've done a lot in my life, and I was reduced to literally nothing. Like literally just so scared, so weak, so fearful. So please don't underestimate what they can do to you. Anyway, I get back. And I'm like, I just couldn't believe what you did. I missed him. I did. I had fallen in love with him. I thought I had. And of course, his response to that was, well, I was actually thinking of divorcing my wife, but because you left, obviously you don't care about me, so I'm not going to do that now. Blame shift. Everything's my fault. No accountability, that you've completely lied. Not only have you lied, I don't even know what this relationship is now, because now you are all huggy. Like, what does this even mean? You know what I mean? You've betrayed me, you've lied. But I didn't have the language at the time, and I just was so confused, and I just wanted to go home. And, get on. Everything in my life had been shaken up. He knew it. He knew what I'd been through. And I was settled in the place we were living. I didn't want to be away from it. Everything in my life had been so much change, so much disruption, because I'd just come out of something very stressful with this business partner that had annihilated me. So I really just wanted to go home. And he knew it. So anyway, 2 years, it took me another 2 years, and more destruction, and more traumatizing, more and more trauma bonding. Although in the middle of it, I really rose. And then he destroyed the whole thing. I rose in my money, I up-leveled our place, I took on more financial commitments for us. It gets worse and worse and worse. You will get in a deeper and deeper black hole. But knowing all of that logically, when we finally did break up, and he would have left me for dead, literally. He destroyed everything in my life, tried to get me in so much, I'd say persecution, in trouble, things that weren't even to do with me, slandered mine. I mean, it was just a smear campaign. It was awful. It was so distasteful. I'd loved that man. I know how to love. I know people like us, we know how to love. We just can't help it. We're so unconditional in it. But anyway, which is why you've got to learn sovereign. If you can come into my program, Boundaries, Values, Standards. He's left me literally for dead. Gone with someone else straight away. Must have been like that. Not only did he get with someone else, he purposely would parade it in front of my house, look for as many opportunities. So I'd just be isolated in my house. I wouldn't want to go out. It was just really upsetting me. It was destroying me, actually. He wanted me to see it over and over again. And then he would, if I tried to stop him or say anything, anything, he'd hold his camera up as if I wasn't even a person, just to film me. You know what I mean? I was a problem. The whole thing is like this. It's aggressive, it's mean, it's malicious, it's heartbreaking, it's devastating. This is someone I'd poured so much love into, so much attention into, made so many excuses for, was very loyal to. So anyway, after he's left me for dead, I'm now fighting for my life. I've lost my home again. I have to leave because I'd taken on these extra financial commitments. He was due to pay some of them. I told him I didn't want him to, but he didn't honour the ones that I did want him to, that I'd taken on for him. It left me in such a bad state, and losing my confidence again that I'd be able to rebuild my life again. So I've gone to live somewhere else. I'm struggling to get by. And I did reach out to him, and I did kind of beg for this disaster back. Thank God it was cut off. It was so bad, but I was in such survival. I really didn't know how I was going to survive, because my trauma, my PTSD was so bad. For me to be able to work, I need to be regulated, right? So, and I can't get a job in this country, so I can have my own business, but at the time I'm doing more business consulting work. And I couldn't think straight. So anyway, it was just he knew it would annihilate my life. Luckily, I started just putting in the sovereign process, and I've rebuilt in a whole different way, in such a quick time. To be honest, I've never had I've had so much abuse in my life, but I don't know, that one stung a lot because I was in love with that person. In a different way. You know, the business partner, I mean, he was such a sociopath. God, I mean, the things he did to me and took, but like, I wasn't in love with him in the same way. You know, this was like my heart was shattered. And of course, someone like me, like, it's the quickest way to, I'm not going to let that happen to me again, but you know, like it's the quick, I'm not saying I wouldn't ever go through heartbreak, because I think we've got to be willing to, you know, but I'm strong enough not to allow it to be treated in that way again. So, what do I want to say? There's a lot of emotional stuff. You've got to process the emotions. You've got to know that you're not crazy, but you've got to keep your awareness on what's really going on. There's nothing wrong with you. You want to get as regulated as possible. There are emotional healing tools, psychological healing tools. There's tips on breaking the trauma bond. If you can come into my program, Soften, please do. It will help you break out of these cycles for good, and actually not just break out of them, go on and live your best life and process all the harm that's been done. As I say, I'm going to close the doors. It's not going to be, you're not going to be able to join indefinitely, because it's a guided process, right? So you need to get ideally in this week, because the first module starts Monday. But the other question I get a lot is about how do they get their karma? They just go off and ride into the sunset. They do get their karma for you. So how it works with karma is, they don't just get like the next prize, you know what I mean? But until you break the trauma bond, they don't get the karma for you. Now I've broken the trauma bond for that man. I don't follow his life at all. I've been told by spirit, and I've had many signs and synchronicities. Karma's hitting him like a ton of bricks. Because every time, if he tried, so this is how karma works in the universe. If you try and literally destroy people to the level that he went to destroy me, which was everything in my life. He wanted to destroy my finances, my home. He wanted me on the street with nothing, you know. And devastated in the heart, it comes back to them. You can't control karma. Again, you're not sitting there waiting for karma to hit. Sometimes when we do that, it's because you want the God to sort of tell them off, like a parent, right? So if you're sitting there going, I want their karma to hit, like, you can't play God in this universe. That's up to the divine. But they will get their karma for exactly what they did to you, but they can only get it when your energy's all back. Until then, you're still consenting to the thread. If you see the videos I do on that, so they cannot get the karma while there's consent from you, while you're giving them energy, wanting them back, ruminating, doing anything that's attached to them. So you've got to take all your energy back. Their karma comes for you. So what people are worried about is, will they get the spiritual protection of the new, because the energy fields get enmeshed when you unite with the narcissist or anyone. So like, they're under your spiritual protection when they're with you. When you completely detach, they will get their karma for you. And when you're enmeshed with someone, yes, you're kind of joint in your manifestations and your energy field. So yeah, with my ex, he's starting getting loads of good things happening because I'm a strong manifester. He's getting the benefit of my light, right? But then I'm absorbing some of his karma, and now I'm also in this cycle where things are being stopped in my life because the divine doesn't want me giving my light energy to this demon. I'm supposed to work for the other side, right? So, we don't realise we're working for the dark. We never tried to. I was just trying to heal him. I just wanted to heal what many of you want to do, heal his trauma. I wanted him to come into the light. I could see the potential in him. I could see the beauty in him. There were some times where I was just madly in love with him. But at the same time, it was still a narcissist, a very horrible one, I found out by the end, a really malignant, malicious one. I've never seen anyone so cold, mean and spiteful for nothing, for love. What a fool, absolute fool in the universe. He's going to have a miserable life. But he's not capable of being in love. So the problem is, I'm trying to heal him into his potential and thinking we can be a partnership. And of course, he's not doing that. So then in the end, all I'm doing is giving my light energy to his dark ways, because he's still siphoning it, using my energy source to go off and do his dark stuff in the world. He was always taking my energy. He used to feel really high around me. When I used to come back, when I came back after I left, he was like, oh gosh, I got a real hit from that. Because I said to him, I feel like you're siphoning my energy. And he'd obviously take that energy, feel more attractive, have more things happen in his life, abuse more women, you know what I mean? Play more people using that energy. That's a disaster. All right, my loves. I hope you like this video. Please keep commenting, liking, subscribing and sharing. Please come into Sovereign if you can. It's such a great experience. Lots of love. I'll speak to you soon.